Davide Frattesi delivered the fatal blow in the 88th minute, ending Bayern Munich's incredible 22-game unbeaten streak at the Allianz Arena in the Champions League. With a 2-1 away victory, Inter Milan now holds a crucial advantage heading into the second leg at the Giuseppe Meazza. Nerazzurri fans have every reason to dream of a historic treble, something they've been waiting for nearly 15 years since the 2009-2001 Champions League final. The quarterfinal draw once again brought Bayern Munich and Inter Milan face-to-face, two European giants with a history of continental glory, now battling fiercely for a spot in the semi-finals. Bayern entered the match on a high, having just demolished Bayer Leverkusen 5-0 on aggregate in the round of 16, a perfect revenge after their domestic title race disappointment. This marked Bayern's 23rd appearance in the Champions League quarterfinals record, and their sixth consecutive season reaching this stage. Notably, they hadn't lost at home in their last 22 Champions League outings at the Allianz Arena, winning 17 and drawing 5. Their last home defeat came back in May 2021 against Paris Saint-Germain. Still, Vincent Kompany's men had a serious squad dilemma. Jamal Musiala suffered a major injury and is likely out for the season. Key names like Alphonso Davies, Dayot Upamecano, Kingsley Coman, and Manuel Neuer were also unavailable. Despite this, Bayern's biggest hope remained Harry Kane, who has scored 10 goals and provided 2 assists in 11 Champions League games this season and has been involved in 50 goals in just 55 Champions League appearances. On the other side, Inter Milan arrived in Germany riding a 10-game unbeaten streak across all competitions, backed by a rock-solid defense. Simone Inzaghi's men had conceded just 2 goals in 10 Champions League games this season, posting a clean sheet rate of 80%, the highest ever for any team playing at least 10 matches in a single UCL campaign. Fresh off a crucial win against AS Roma in Serie A, Inter was still seen as one of the toughest teams to beat in Europe. In terms of personnel, Inter was also hit by injuries. Denzel Dumfries, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, and Mehdi Taremi were all ruled out, while Alessandro Bastoni was suspended. Nevertheless, they still boasted a high-quality squad, led by Lautaro Martinez, who had already netted 6 goals in the Champions League this season. The game at the Allianz Arena started at a blistering pace. In the 5th minute, Bayern appealed for a penalty after Mathys Tel went down inside the box, but referee Sandro Scherer waved play on, judging no foul by Inter's defense. That was just the beginning of an onslaught from the home side. In the 20th minute, Rafael Guerreiro had a decent look after a slick 1-2 with Michael Olise, but his low strike couldn't beat Jan Sommer. Another dangerous chance came moments later when Olise fired from distance, forcing Sommer into a save. The rebound fell perfectly to Kane, but his follow-up header drifted wide. Kane's most heartbreaking miss came shortly after, when he was sent through on goal by a delicate Olise pass. The England striker curled his shot past Sommer, only to see it bounce off the post by inches. By that point, Bayern had taken 6 shots, while Inter had yet to register a single attempt. But football is full of surprises, and when you don't take your chances, you risk being punished. After half an hour, Inter finally created danger. Alessandro Bastoni slipped in Carlos Augusto down the left flank. The Brazilian had space to shoot, but his strike hit the side netting. Then, in the 38th minute, Bayern paid the price. A textbook counterattack started by Lautaro Martinez, and in the 88th minute, Davide Frattesi struck the decisive dagger, officially snapping Bayern Munich's 22-game unbeaten run at the Allianz Arena in the Champions League. With a 2-1 victory on the road, Inter Milan takes home a massive edge ahead of the return leg at the Giuseppe Meazza. Inter supporters can now dare to dream of a historic treble, a dream that's been brewing ever since that fateful final clash with Bayern Munich in the 2009-2010 season. Once again, 2 former kings of Europe crossed paths in the quarterfinals, battling for a ticket to the semi-finals. Bayern came into this game in sizzling form, fresh off a 5-0 aggregate thrashing of Bayer Leverkusen in the previous round, a sweet redemption after falling short in the Bundesliga title race. This is their record-setting 23rd quarterfinal appearance and the 6th straight year they've made it this far. At home, Bayern had gone unbeaten in 22 straight Champions League matches with 17 wins and 5 draws. Their last home defeat dated back to May 2021 against PSG. However, Vincent Kompany's side was ravaged by injuries. Jamal Musiala and Serge Gnabry were essentially ruled out for the rest of the season, while Alphonso Davies, Dayot Upamecano, Kingsley Coman, and Manuel Neuer were all missing. Still, their hopes rested heavily on Harry Kane, who had tallied 10 goals and 2 assists in 11 Champions League matches and had been directly involved in 50 goals across 55 appearances in the competition. As for Inter, they traveled to Germany unbeaten in their last 10 matches across all competitions, anchored by an elite defense. In 10 Champions League games this season, Inzaghi's side had only conceded twice, keeping a clean sheet 80% of the time, a tournament best for any club with 10-plus games in a single campaign. Despite a nervy 2-2 draw scare against Roma in Serie A, after going 2-0 up, Inter remained one of the most formidable teams in Europe. They too had their absences. Benjamin Pavard, Hakan Calhanoglu, and Mehdi Taremi were unavailable, while Alessandro Bastoni was suspended. Still, with Lautaro Martinez, who has scored 6 times in the Champions League, leading the attack, Inter had more than enough firepower. The match kicked off at a blistering pace. In just the 5th minute, Bayern Munich appealed for a penalty after Michael Olise went down in the box. However, referee Sandro Schär waved play on after a VAR check. That was just the opening signal for Bayern's dominant attacking intent. The hosts kept the pressure high, and in the 20th minute, Rafael Guerreiro had a chance to open the scoring after a neat combination with Olise, but his low shot was comfortably saved by Jan Sommer. But football is a game full of surprises. Despite Bayern's constant pressure and numerous attempts, it was Inter who struck first. In the 38th minute, a textbook counterattack saw Lautaro Martinez switch play to the left for Carlos Augusto. The Brazilian fullback whipped in a low cross, and Marcus Thuram cleverly flicked it back to Lautaro, who didn't waste the chance. A first-time strike from the Argentine found the back of the net, beating Daniel Peretz to make it 1-0 for Inter. VAR was called in to review a potential offside by Thuram, but after a thorough check, the goal stood. The first half ended with Inter Milan holding a narrow lead, even though Bayern had controlled the game. The hosts had more possession, more shots, but the only thing they lacked was a goal. Heading into the second half, the pressure mounted on Bayern Munich. Not only did they need an equalizer, but they were also staring down the weight of expectation with the Champions League final set to take place at the Allianz Arena. It was a golden opportunity for the Bavarians to chase history, but also a double-edged sword if they failed to get past Inter. In the 74th minute, manager Vincent Kompany rang the changes in search of a breakthrough. Guerreiro made way for Serge Gnabry, Joshua Kimmich was replaced by Sacha Boey, and Leroy Sané came off for Thomas Muller, receiving a rousing ovation from the home crowd in what could be his final Champions League appearance at the Allianz. And as if written in the stars, it was Muller who made the difference. In the 85th minute, Bayern finally found the equalizer. Kimmich sent in a deep cross that bypassed Inter's backline. Konrad Laimer controlled the ball and laid it off perfectly for Muller, who calmly slotted it home to level the score at 1-1. The Allianz Arena erupted in joy. Bayern continued to push and came close to a second when Harry Kane unleashed a dangerous strike from outside the box, but Sommer came up big with another save. Just when the home fans started to believe in a comeback, Inter delivered the killer blow. In the 88th minute, a lightning-quick counter saw Nicolo Barella thread a brilliant through ball for Carlos Augusto. Eric Dier misjudged the offside trap, allowing the Brazilian to square it to Davide Frattesi, who had just come on. Frattesi charged into the box and fired home from close range, leaving Peretz with no chance. 2-1 Inter Milan, and the Allianz was left in stunned silence. In stoppage time, Bayern threw everything forward in desperation. Even when Kane had a close-range header, Inter's defense stood tall and held firm. After 15 tense minutes of added time, Inter left Germany with a massive away win. With this result, Inter Milan take a huge step toward the semi-finals, while Bayern Munich now face the real possibility of crashing out on home soil. History is not on Bayern's side either. They've never managed to overturn a first-leg home defeat in a Champions League knockout round. Meanwhile, Inter edged closer to a potential treble, keeping the dream alive. The second leg at San Siro promises to be a fiery showdown where everything is still up for grabs.